everybody, and welcome back to BK's Bullets. Today we're talking Fables Volume 20, Camelot. Hey everybody, welcome back to BK's Bullets. Today we're talking about Fables. This is Volume 20, Camelot. This issue, this volume contains about 10 issues. So it's a pretty hefty book. And what's going on here is we're kind of setting up the final, what seems like the final conflict. Rose Red gets some weird new armor, starts, there are players moving around, basically. You have Rose Red, you have the North Wind, you have Geppetto. All of a sudden, kind of, these players seem to be moving around. And it all kind of stems out of Snow White wanting revenge on Prince Brandish, her first husband, that we met in previous volumes when he was like the servant of Mr. Dark. Now he comes out here after the confrontation with Bigby Wolf last volume, where he turned him to glass and shattered him, that bastard. And they're finding a way to do him. So meanwhile, Rose Red says she's building a new Camelot. So to do that, she's gathering her forces and sends out some messengers to say, hey, I'm seeking knights. If you want to come be a knight, come try out for me at the new Camelot on the farm. Meanwhile, you have Ozma and Morgan Le Fay talking to Snow White, trying to get information. And it seems like there are outside forces pushing these two sisters against each other. In the meantime, you still have Bigby as a giant ice guy, and they're trying to figure out how to bring him back to life, all those sorts of things. There's a really nice tale in here with Bigby in the afterlife, and he's talking to Little Boy Blue and kind of figuring out what the afterlife means for a fable. It's a really nice story, really touching. The art by Mark Buckingham, as usual, is just phenomenal in this book. So you have them creating the new round table. You have Waylon Smith coming in, and knights are doing battle. You have Lancelot showing up. You have Morgan Le Fay showing up, and they're all kind of afraid that they're going to repeat the same pattern that they did the first time around with Camelot and King Arthur. Well, some roles have changed, Lancelot is no longer Lancelot. He finds out that he's somebody else. Morgan Le Fay is now no longer the antagonist. She's now more like Merlin. So you have other people figuring out new places where they fit in this new Camelot. But it's mostly like a long tale of how this Camelot thing's coming about. The North Wind is gathering power, one of Bigby's little daughters. Although what's weird though is that she is like gathering power against her mother a little bit. So what is Snow White gonna do that we don't know about yet? Does she have some ulterior motive? None of that's really been explored. So it's kind of weird to see a bunch of different factions pop up against Snow White and then all kind of gang up on her. In the meantime, you have our new villain, Miss Lay, who used to be the fat nurse, whose name we never knew until she became a person of Mr. Dark kind of thing. And even now, I really don't understand her name or remember her name at all. It speaks a lot to Mark Buckingham's art, I guess, that they don't say her name that much in the book, but they do show her frequently. After that, you've got a cool little tale with Geppetto sending out one of his wooden soldiers to find out what happened to his magic grove. And the twist on there is too great to spoil. And then the final two issues in here is like a two-part tale that says this truly begins the end of the Fabletown era, when these other fables began to go back home and have adventures and kind of decide that they maybe didn't need to go back to Fabletown. Now that the Empire is over, the threat from Mr. Dark is over, what's left to worry about? Well, just the things back in your old hometown, in your village. So I like this volume. It seems like it's a lot of build-up, basically. And having read the next volume when I'm doing this review, I can tell you that all of this becomes clear in the next volume. But this is a hefty volume. We're getting back. We're moving forwards towards the end of the Fables, towards the big finale. So I'm so excited to read that. And I can't wait for you to watch my next review on the next book, because that's truly where this thing starts to take off like a rocket. But Camelot, I don't think was bad. I really did. It always amazes me with Fables that the one-shot stories in here sometimes are the best ones. The little interlude here with Bigby and Boy Blue in the afterlife was phenomenal. The story here with Geppetto in the wood, great story, lots of fun. And I even liked the two-parter at the very end. You just kind of had some characters that we've only seen in bits and pieces here going on an adventure. And Bill Willingham found a way to make them endearing and interesting in that I want to see more of them. So I really did like that the most, I think, of this Camelot volume. Even though the stuff that's going on in the main storyline is interesting, it's just a lot of build-up that doesn't really lead anywhere here in this volume. So it leaves the slack to be picked up by these individual stories, which I think are great all by themselves. So if anything, if you're this far along with us, you've only got 3 more volumes left. Read this one, read 21, read 21, and then we end with 22. So we're almost there, right to the end. So thank you guys for watching. Let me see you down in the funny pages.